On a recent visit to England, I spent some time in the company of my grandmother, Maggie, at her home in the seaside resort of Sidmouth. During our conversations, she mentioned an old friend of hers, a poet by the name of Anthony Naumann, and produced 2 books of verse. Very little is known about him, but from the dust jacket, we learn that he fought in Africa during the Second World War, where he suffered horrific injuries that left him blind. He published just 3 volumes of verse in his lifetime before committing suicide. When we are not sure, but perhaps in the early 1970s, when he must have been around 50 years old. This is how Maggie remembers him.
So there's 2 books that I wanted to see. Modern poetry. But Anthony Naumann, I used to take him up to Ronnie Scott's jazz club in London, and he had a Morris Traveller. Do you remember those with a wooden train?
Yeah.
And I used to rush down. He lived about 3 miles away from me, and pick him up. And
Yes.
he lost one eye. He was on the other hand near South Tor. He was completely blind from shrapnel.
Yes.
And he was highly decorated, and his Batman and his wife came to live in the cottage in the grounds to look after him. They were a lovely couple.
Yes.
And saw him one day when I was sort of walking around, and he told me what had happened. And he said, we all loved him so much. He literally laid down his life for us. And there's a slight slope up, and the enemy were the other side.
Yes.
So he went up the slope to look, and he said he was waving at his hand, must say, don't you dare move. You know? And as he put his head up, his face was quite a mess.
Yes.
But he's a lovely man, and
Yes.
of course we both adore jazz. And he gave me these 2 books. It's like little green books. I wonder if they're them.
Anthony Naumann.
That's right.
So he wrote this?
Yes. I had more. And the scribble inside, it's meant to say, would love to Maggie, but
Oh, I can see a signature and lots of kisses.
yes,
1964.
yes. Lovely. And some of them are very, very amusing. Putting
Yes.
away deck chairs
Yes.
in the sun. Things like that, you know. And I'd hate those to go to an auction.
Well then,
Yes,
so
I think you
I'll
do.
take these now.
Were you really?
Yes,
Oh,
yeah.
bless your heart. I think you'll enjoy it. One of them, I can't remember what it's called. He's used long words, which I can't remember. But she says I don't make my lines rhyme.
Yes.
And so on. And so he showed it to me, because it was going to the publishers very soon.
Yes.
And he said, who do you think I wrote that about? I said, no idea. So he said, well, she's standing not a million miles away from me. It was me.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was having an affair with Carol, who was the wife of a not very nice farmer, with his own helicopter, you know, one of those.
Oh, yes.
And so it was great that they used to use me as a sort of decoy when they were going
Yes.
to have lovely evenings together.
Nice.
Now has the green time. Now has the green time come all of a sudden, birding and budding the starveling branches. Deferential daffodils golden at garden's edge, and in the tufty orchard scattered indiscriminately. Bow and scrape before a high and mighty southwest wind. A woodpecker, knowing nothing of Newton's law, clings in defiance to a pear tree's bark. Eyes pinpointing, predatory, bill poised like a poignard, while hidden in the hazels a tentative blackbird, his beak bright as buttercups, tries out his song upon the shining air. alone sitting here, all ears for spring. I grow green with envy at all this growing green about me, and diligent among my hard-won words, await in silence for something, or better still someone, to wake me from my winter sleep, my long and fretful hibernation. The tree. It covers one whole, sometimes sun-washed wall, southwest its span of 20 feet or more, of thick green glossy leaves that fan symmetrically from the central stem. When I was a boy they planted it with fingered care on bed of peat, gentled and spread the hairy roots, with tar string tied the lateral shoots to staples in mortar between the bricks. They planted it when I was a boy. Its 8 leaves matched my years till then, but even as a stripling tree it stood twice as tall as me. A man and a war have come and gone, and now it covers the southwest wall, for it and I are fully grown. But when I asked the gardener if, during that time, its first waxen flowers had shone and shone against a glaze of glaucous sheen, not even a bud he said he'd seen. But last year, with summer almost gone, when thyme and wood and sap were ripe, it came into its scented own when everybody's back was turned, and it was to be felled and burned. Putting away deck chairs. Putting away deck chairs, folding them finally, pinching my fingers for the last time, for a long time, in their double-jointedness. The sloping back-striped ones, the whole-coloured canvas upright for tea ones, all must be carried and stacked Bristol fashion inside the garden shed, to sit out the winter there with damp warping wood and rusting the nails. Paraffin's dented tin, rabbit wire, garden string, glint of spade in a corner, of greased blade of lawn-mower, with a bat and an oily rag hung on a rafter, and sometimes a rat scavenging dog biscuit. But no other living thing comes there until spring. Then one fine day, possibly April, but more likely May, I will go to the garden shed, pick them out one by one, set them up in the sun, brush off the cobwebs and a winter of grime, and put them outside for next summertime.